I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen, but please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today.
Network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho.
Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Oh, we got some breaking news this morning. A man is in custody after Vice President J.D. Vance's Ohio home has been vandalized. That, no doubt, a deranged individual. The story, I'm sure we'll get the latest on it as the details continue to pour out. That's kind of fresh, but speaking of which, we're fresh back, and man, oh man. Last time I was here with you was, I think, New Year's Eve, nationwide in the Glenn Beck program. Last time I was here with you for this regularly scheduled broadcast was back mid-December. So we're back and better, baby, than ever before.
News, weather, and traffic.
Happy to be here with you.
Biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three.
That's right.
Now today's Big Three.
All powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Been taking a look at what's been happening with the mortgage rates specifically. And man, oh man. Rates have been moving. Rates this week falling to their lowest level in 15 months. Now, we've been telling you about the folks at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway has been walking you through what we can expect with the latest in the Fed and, of course, where mortgage rates are headed. We're giving you the inside look on this. Home buyers eager for a thaw in that housing market. The average interest rate on a 30-year fixed stands at about 6.15%. That's down. Way down, plummeting from that level of 6.89% in May, saving you thousands. Last January, the average 30-year was at 7%. You're talking about a 1 percentage point a decrease. Every time it goes down, you could save thousands, tens of thousands in additional cost each year. Reach out to Dave and the team today at hhmlending.com. You're looking to buy, refi, home equity line of credit. They want to help you get to where you need to go, and they're going to do it today.
Number one.
Like they have for us and so many others who listen to this program. Well, he's due in court today. U.S. Special Forces capturing Maduro in Venezuela, the narco-terrorist in Caracas, in bed with his wife at one point, I guess, early wee morning hours there on Saturday, and the president...
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela.
By the way, just how extraordinary was it, how historic was it? We'll get to the details about that. What you can expect now that Maduro is in custody. He's in New York. In fact, he's due in court today. The details all on the way. And what the left is saying about this is just mind-boggling. You know, I don't think I can ever get used to the insanity that we're seeing pouring out. Speaking of which, pouring that money right out and down the drain. Whitmer's, Michigan, the LG delays another electric battery plant production despite $120 million from taxpayers. This is another plant in Lansing. They just hit another snag. Whitmer's big push. Not doing so well. And, you know, because you've seen so much switch over since the president has taken over. And this is, I think it's only going to get worse as time goes on. We're going to have to watch now for the next boondoggle, which appears to be data centers.
How dare you?
But folks are watching this. They pull out, it looks looks like another big story in the money down the drain. More on that coming up in just moments. But
Number 3.
more fallout from the Somali daycare fraud story in Minnesota. President Trump showing a chart last night. 72% of Somali households in the U.S. are on government assistance. In other words, they're taking welfare. 72%. I think it's in the 80s in Minnesota. What? What? Well, there's a reason for all of this. I explained that too coming up. It's a cultural thing. You really have to understand the pirate mentality of the folks we're dealing with. And lots of people won't tell you the truth, but we will. I have no problem doing that. Truth, logic, and common sense. Back better than ever, and glad to be here with you today.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
I know folks are watching online, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, you name it. So many different places to watch on JustinBarclay.com as well. BARCLAY. You can email me, Justin@JustinBarclay.com. I'd love to hear from you throughout the show. Love to have those conversations with people that jump in and join the chat. Phone's always open and ready to go. But also, it's probably good for us to tell you about the iHeartRadio app where you just hit that microphone button and sound off. Rant, rave, ask a question, comment, complaints, take a number. More from the president. Speaking of which, he doesn't have a lot of... There's apparently these days not a lot of patience for complaints. Listen to what he said about what they did in Venezuela.
Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
They did in 4 hours, essentially, what Bush and Obama and the rest couldn't do in 4 terms. It's incredible.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence.
Now, the No Kings folks, as one might expect, although they really never do, they never cease to surprise and amaze me. The No Kings folks are upset that a dictator has been removed from power. The No Kings folks are upset that President Trump was following law and order. By the way, this is just, it's the most obvious. It's the most clear cut. You have to be connected to reality to understand what's happening. And so many people on the left, unfortunately, aren't. And if you want to argue about that's fine. You can be wrong all day long. We have no problem with that. Feel free to be wrong. But the point is, there was a warrant. They had charged this guy. He had been, in fact, Kamala and Biden on their way out. Would they set the bounty at $25 million on the way? No, why do you have a bounty if the guy's not supposed to be arrested? And if we're not supposed to be the ones arrested him? In January, just before they left office, please, people on the left, you're all upset. You're all bent out of shape over please hear this. Biden and Kamala offering $25 million for information leading to the arrest of Maduro. And eventually, I think Trump kicked that up to 50. But tell me, why? Is there any logical explanation? One that doesn't involve your feelings about President Trump and how you think he's just so evil. Is there really? Is there any explanation? Now, all of a sudden, by the way, over the weekend, Kamala outraged because he was arrested. But here's the headline: January 10th, 2025. I think it's the Times. Anyway, the Biden administration said on Friday it was offering $25 million for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. The announcement of a retaliatory measure by Washington, which does not recognize Maduro as the rightful president of Venezuela. That's the Biden administration. The Biden administration. Now, all of a sudden, Trump is breaking the law. He's a threat to them. All these things that they want to say. No, he's a king and all of that, right? He's the problem because he went and did what no one else would. The fake news furious after videos spread of countless major cities being flooded with real Venezuelans who are grateful to the president for actually doing this. There were protests, including one back here at home. White women, majority, old white people, upset at President Trump finding a way to just, I don't know how they do this. They must have a flag exchange program because otherwise it's got to get pretty costly. You know, how do you keep switching flags? Well, I mean, they were just waving. No, I know. The Palestinian flag. I mean, seriously, Ukraine, how many other flags do these people own? They've got every other flag. Every flag other than the flags of the United States of America. That should tell you everything you need to know. They're running around waving every single other flag they can get their hands on. Here are the celebrations in Spain and Madrid, Venezuela, Argentina, and Times Square, New York, Miami. These aren't protests, folks. These are celebrations. You've got to see this. You have to watch this. You have to see, because CNN, the mainstream media, they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to tell you the story. There were protesters. In fact, the Find Out era in full swing. I don't know how these people get. Somebody has to ring like a bat phone somewhere. There's like a Trump. Instead of the signal, you know, like the Trump head and the bat signal that goes up in the air, it's probably like George Soros. His signal goes up in the air and they go, hey, it's time to get out and protest. So they go out and again, these are white people. If you love Venezuela so much, why don't you go there? One of them found out real quickly. She's still got her Palestinian scarf on, it looks like. A no kings agitator. Again, imagine the hoops you have to jump through. The hoops you have to jump through to make this make sense. They're calling Donald Trump a king for allowing law enforcement to go to Venezuela, seize him, and bring him to justice. An actual dictator, a narco-terrorist, one who even the Biden administration said was filthy wrong. And they brought him back without incident. They brought him back. They didn't kill him. They didn't drone strike him like Obama did. Obama did that to a U.S. citizen. No, they brought him back. They brought him to justice. He will have to face justice. Now, I have some thoughts on what happens next and why they're doing what they're doing. And, of course, the question is, why New York City? That's another place, too, that people are wondering. Why are they going to try him there? That doesn't seem like a good idea. We'll get into that coming up here in just a little bit. But first, in Grand Rapids, onto the streets.
We have to apply pressure at all points that we can. This is not just a foreign issue. It's our.
This is Jessica Plickta, who absolutely is just ignorance on display, full stream.
Tax dollars that are also being used to commit these war crimes.
A little louder about the tax dollars being used to siphon off billions for the Somalis and their daycare. By the way, she traded in her Somali flag for the Venezuelan flag already? Yes, must be. Still got the Palestinian scarf going, though.
It is also the duty of us, the people, to stand against the Trump regime, the Trump administration that are.
No, this is what it's all about. It is also our duty as the people to stand with or against the Trump regime, the Trump administration. That's what it's all about. They hate Trump, the hatred for Trump, the media pushes it, all of this Trump derangement syndrome, an actual sickness. They can't stand it. They're obsessed.
Crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela.
No. There is no crime against people in Venezuela. In fact, did you know there were multiple Cubans killed in this raid? Do you know who the Cubans were? They were people providing security for the Maduro regime. It tells you everything you need to know about who we're dealing with and why it happened. So she's wrapping up her interview with Channel 13, and the boys in blue, the GRPD, walk up and they arrest her.
Now, in the background of this interview, you could see that police car. And now right here, we're showing you video we have immediately after the interview finished. Plitka was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers. You can see it in the video, and an officer tells Plitka that she is being...
It's funny, it's 13, and the commies they are carrying it like what she had to say was credible at all. But you know why she was being arrested? Because these people, these idiots, were marching through the streets, the snowy, icy streets of Grand Rapids, causing a hazard. You can't do that. You certainly can't and shouldn't do it for Venezuela. What in the world is wrong with you people?
Arrested for obstructing a roadway and failure to obey a lawful command from a police officer. You can see as she's taken away in that car, she was issuing a number of messages about...
And in other words, they told her, get crazy, get out of the road. What are you doing?
Wanting the U.S. to free Maduro. But again, she was taken away by police officers there, and you can see in this video, officers...
There's probably about 50 of them walking down the streets in downtown Grand Rapids.
Closely following this procession in downtown Grand Rapids. We have reached out to GRPD.
They have no idea why. Other than they hate Donald Trump, and that's all the excuse. That's all the reason they need for any of this, folks. That's all they want is figure out how they can get Donald Trump. They're going to finally get him. Sure. All right. I want to break down some more of what's actually happening behind the scenes. The reason why this is happening, because everybody that I've seen commenting, I think there are a lot of people missing big pieces of this puzzle. It's easy to say, well, the oil, and I'm missing a big piece of this puzzle, and we gotta point that out to you. I'll make sure you understand. We'll get to that coming up in just moments. You're locked in. Don't go anywhere. It's West Michigan Live. Justin Barclay. We're back after this.
This Monday, January 5th, I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. The mayor of Bay City, Michigan, taking action on data centers before the city is hit with a proposal. Michigan has become ground zero for data centers as a result of the state's Democrat-led legislature. Now, back in 2024, lawmakers passing tax incentives for their development. An arraignment scheduled for today in New York for Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro and his wife, both captured by U.S. forces in Venezuela over the weekend. President Trump telling reporters the U.S. will be overseeing Venezuela until a new government is in place. Here's the president.
It's largely going to be, for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football.
Yeah. All right. Welcome in, folks. Thank you so much for being here with us. Holy smokes, what a break. And we're back now. And man, oh man, we're ready to go. Never a dull moment. Pick it up, man. Through the break, we had quite a bit of news to discuss and talk about. And we did that with 4 fill-ins on the Glenn Beck program that you joined us for. Thank you so much for being there with us, whether you listen on the iHeartRadio app or your radio station or the podcast or the select few that got a chance to listen on the VIP. In the Freedom Fam, just one of the perks. It's only $9 a month, but you can also join for a full year, get a month free, and a copy of my book, Good News, Hope, and Encouragement for Trying Times. I want to sign it and send it to you. All the perks and bonuses that we've got stuff going on that we will be probably filling you in. We got Fireside Chats making a comeback. We got our secret show prep that comes out every morning. But Mando, Mark, good to see you. Gritter, good to see you here too. Panda, Patriot, Dean, as always. Couple of lifetime Freedom Fam members in here today. Stand by. Karen, and so many others. Kelly, thank you for being here with us. Quick moments, folks. I got to take care of something. I'm the only one here today because the producer's got a sick kid. All right, we just got breaking news, folks. Tim Walz is not going to seek re-election. Part of this pressure, I guarantee, came from the interview, the Glenn Beck program last week. We talked to a couple of the folks that will be running against him. In fact, one is the Speaker of the House there in Minnesota. Big news. We got Never Dull Moment. Breaking news. Such a time as this over on Rumble. IPV, good to see you. Happy New Year, everyone. Mando. Jen Lynn, Sneeboard Tennyson, good to see y'all. And the Facebookers, the Xers, the Tubers, thank you guys. Linda, Joanne, Suzanne, Sherry, Jason, good to see you, brother. Doug, how are you? Mike, Bruce, Sean, thank you all for being here with us this morning. Hang on, I got to jump back on the air with the breaking news.
Search How to Money and listen now.
Set Wood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
This is a breaking news alert from the Wood Radio Newsroom.
Well, there was speculation about this. In fact, we talked about it last week on the Glenn Beck program. The Speaker of the House there, she's running for governor, Lisa DeMuth in Minnesota, calling on Tim Walz to resign. We haven't gotten that, but the governor says he will not seek re-election amid that Somali daycare fraud scandal. We have more on that coming up. Bottom of the hour, grab our news right after this, and we come back, we'll talk more about what's really going on in Venezuela, why all of this matters, and President Trump's historic movement over the weekend taking out Maduro, bringing him to justice. We'll get to that right after this on West Michigan Live.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
The music we listen.
All right, let's see if we can pull up anything new from Fox here.
Look, I think even in a blue and purple state, even a very blue state, when you get to this level of abuse of the taxpayer, yes, Republicans can have a moment if they seize it. Ellison is a great example of exactly what you say, Dana, that people had to have known about this while it was happening. And in fact, he was talking to the very people doing it and making promises to them. So that can change voters' minds about where they're willing to swing. Republicans, however, have to put up a person against, whether it's Klobuchar or whomever, who can fight that fight. Lisa DeMuth, I believe, is the head of the Republicans in the House in the state, who had declared a long time ago ago. And then Mike Lindell, I think, is prepared to get in the race or is poised or has announced such. So you have to be careful about who you pick on your side as well to make this competitive.
MK, I'm sure you follow this video over the holidays, this father-son team, Mick Shipley. They were showing up at these daycare centers where there were no kids. And a lot of folks in the media went after them for their reporting, as opposed to asking their own questions as to why you're receiving millions of dollars and had no children to show for it. Last comment on this.
Right. Look, I'm glad it went viral because it brings attention to something that deserves attention. Local reporters had worked on this in the past. Investigators in the Republican Party and elsewhere had worked on this in the past, but it really caught fire, and it should, so that a lot of people know this is happening. And this is a sort of a reflection back on Kamala actually went after in her government capacity in California, a guy who blew the whistle on Planned Parenthood with similar kinds of videos and reporting as an independent journalist. They don't like that stuff when it turns against their party and the people who are bringing in money for them.
All right. Well, Mary Catherine Ham off to a roaring start in 2026. Thank you for joining us on this breaking news as Tim Walz pulls out of the governor's race in Minnesota.
Thank you. Okay, he's 61. Okay, noon today, he'll make an announcement in a press conference. Alexis McAdams is already there, live in Minneapolis, to bring us the latest from her reporting. Good morning.
That's right. Well, the White House has really turned up the heat on Governor Tim Walz. And so the question for a lot of the people that I've been talking to on the ground out here, including state reps, was how much longer was he going to stay in the race for his reelection bid? They didn't think he was going to maybe go to D.C. and testify about all of these fraud allegations because they say he knew about this for quite some time and turned a blind eye because people here on the ground tell me they said he just didn't want to talk about it because he didn't know how to address it. And it was going on for quite some time. So I want to break down because we talk a lot about the fraud allegations here in Minnesota and what it really means for taxpayers in this state who work so hard and then funnel their money in, right? But where does it go? So this is what they say. It says that these Somalian daycares and businesses would really just set up like sham companies, fake businesses, apply for government grants, and then pocket the taxpayer cash. Prosecutors say it's been going on for years, but it's gone viral in the past few days. DHS is on the ground asking businesses, show us how you're using this cash. The DOJ has already charged nearly 100 people in Minnesota fraud-related cases, and 85 of them are Somali. So as you guys were saying before, why are they talking about the Somalian community? That's because it's in the court documents. That's who's committing the crimes, according to prosecutors. Now these Somali-owned businesses are trying to get their story straight. So last week, one daycare said someone broke in, but says all this thief took was the paperwork that the DOJ wants. Listen.
Fortunately, someone came in to our daycare. Unfortunately, we saw that there was important documentation, enrollment of the children, and also employee documentation that was gone.
So it's kind of odd. All they take.
Okay, I've been chomping at the bit on this, and then because I've only got an hour, but you got 3 hours. Filling in for Glenn, I got more time to unpack things and get to them. And this first of all, the Venezuela thing is a whole thing. The Somali thing is a whole thing. And we've got so many other issues that we got to do too, but they are already moving on. They did it quickly. They moved on this, and because kids involved and everything else, it's part of how they make this fraud happen. But this whole somebody broke in. Somebody broke in now. It's the same thing as Alyssa Slotkin did this. There was a bomb threat at my farm. And then they go investigate it. What really happened? Crickets. There's story after story like this, where they break a news story and then they pull out something along the line. Say, well, it looks like those Trump supporters, they're really bad people. You see what I mean? I know. I'm telling you, it's so transparent. It's hilarious to watch it every time we see this type of thing happen. It's just hilarious because it's straight out of the same playbook, straight out of the same blueprint every single time they get caught. Then they run some game of like, no, we're actually the victims. We're the victims. The ones perpetrating the crimes are the real problem. They're the victims. Anyway, want to talk about that coming up in a second. Want to also get reaction on this Walz announcement and more coming up here in just a moment. Stand by. All right, here we go. About 45 seconds. Is to make sure that you can do things again in comfort. There was a day you didn't have to put your feet up in the middle of the day, not thinking to yourself, man, oh man, what if I could just get back on track? Well, you can. Walk into the Good Feet store today. Make it a resolution that lasts. And whether you're at work or play, you're like me, chasing the little girls around. You know, I've got 2, 5, and 3 in their full-time job. Or it's play, and you can enjoy life. Get back to it the way you want to live it. Go to the Good Feet store on 28th Street in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. But do it today for comfort that lasts from the Good Feet store.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
So the breaking news coming through, Governor Tim Walz says he will not run for re-election. He's not stepping down yet. This would be the first step in that process. Who knows? I thought they'd have to drag him kicking and screaming. This, of course, amidst Somali daycare fraud. It's not just daycare fraud. There's lots of other fraud happening as well that they're uncovering in the state there. Over 80% of the Somalis in the state of Minnesota are on some sort of welfare or assistance. 78% when it comes to the nationwide statistics. And you gotta wonder how much of this, how prevalent it is. And he's under a big white hot spotlight right now. By the way, joining us to talk about Venezuela, and I'll get reaction to this story as well, former Congressman Mike Rogers running for Senate here in Michigan. Congress, appreciate you taking the time. And by the way, just your reaction to hearing this announcement for Tim Walz is going to step down, not step down, but will not run for re-election.
Hallelujah. And by the way, Happy New Year. And thanks for doing Michigan So Proud on that national Glenn Beck show last week. I thought you were phenomenal.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, listen, I think this is really good, and it shows how bad that situation was. And I think it also indicates how culpable that the folks around that system were. And boy, you know, when you have even the attorney general who had meetings with these folks, subsequently took campaign contributions, subsequently no investigation, I think there is a lot of explaining to do in Minnesota. And I will guarantee you this, Justin, as a former street agent of the FBI, you know, as Trump says, the good FBI, you go to all of these big dark blue states that have been sanctuary cities and welcoming, you're going to find this problem over and over and over again. And this is all the stuff, by the way, the Democrats were saying didn't exist.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how quickly did we see that this happened over the weekend? They had to trade in. Some of these wacko protesters had to trade in their Somali flags for their Venezuelan flags over the weekend. It's really, I wonder if they have like an exchange program, because this could get costly.
2-for-1 too. It's a 2-for-1 deal.
You know, they got every flag out there except for the United States flag, apparently. That's a problem. We're watching it. It's becoming more obvious, though, I think, to folks. But I want to just touch on Venezuela because it's a massive, I don't think people understand how big what happened over this weekend was. And I don't mean just the fact that President Trump, they took 4 hours to do what they couldn't get done in 4 terms, other presidents. I don't mean that they carried this operation off with a precision never yet seen before, and it just puts us in such a great light. And I don't just the fact that no Americans were hurt in this process. That's amazing in itself. And they bring him back to justice. This wasn't like a drone strike where they killed the guy, took him out. We've seen that happen before. But they bring this guy back to justice. He's going to be in court. Maduro will be in court today. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And so kudos. And as former chairman of the Intelligence Committee, involved in the bin Laden raid, or at the time of the bin Laden raid, more accurately, the amount that goes into this is phenomenal. And no other country, and this is important, in the world has the capability to do what we did in Venezuela to bring the Maduros, plural, to justice for using the implements of state and being narco-terrorists themselves. They were profiting from a massive drug operation using all, the military and their intelligence services and all of that to accomplish that. So the training, and by the way, they build this big mock-up for Bin Laden, and all the intelligence fed into this one particular little room about was it him or was it not him, and everything from his gait to his his height, certain patterns of life, all of that went into it. The same went for this. They built a large facility that was exactly like it. Our special operators trained and then trained and then trained. They were able to take out air defense systems, get in. They had a couple of injured, I think, but no one killed, and grab them and get out safely. No one in the world can do what we just did. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's incredible to see. And, look, we've heard so many pieces of this. Just the narco-terrorism alone is something that I think is obvious. We've had past administrations, including the Biden administration, put that $25 million bounty on his head right when they were leaving.
And he was indicted. People don't realize he was indicted for being a part of a drug distribution, basically cartel. That's why he got designated as a narco-terrorist. He was absolutely involved. A jury or a grand jury in the United States indicted him back in 2020, and the Bidens put a $25 million bounty on his head, didn't do anything else. This is how you solve it. But one thing that's not being talked about, Justin, if I can. I passionately believe that they were in their right to extradite somebody who has been indicted in the United States in a place that was not going to cooperate, number one. But number two, you think about the added benefit of this. We have the Chinese were building these launch capable facilities for Venezuela. They were talking about using it for satellites, but it is an easy replica to throw a missile there and use that to threaten and intimidate the United States. That's exactly what the Chinese were doing. That's why they were pouring money into Venezuela and trying to get them to be a launch pad for them. The Russians used Venezuela to refuel and do logistics for their strategic air bombers. Oh, and by the way, nuclear submarines as well. So he had been all in on enriching himself as a narco-terrorist. Oh, and by the way, he was also inviting our adversaries, and people forget China has nuclear weapons pointed at the United States, to build out their ability to have missile capability that quick. And remember, we can detect a missile flies from China to the United States, and we have ways to intercept it. You don't have a lot of time to make decisions. Can you imagine if they had something in Venezuela was capable of hitting the United States? So there is this, we just took out somebody that was trying to kill literally hundreds of thousands of our children. Oh, by the way, he was being a strategic launch pad for both the Russians and the Chinese, and their strategic trying to destabilize Latin America. I mean, this is a plus, and I think you just showed the world, listen, we're not tolerating this anymore. We're not just going to roll over and let you do this.
Puts everybody else on notice. And to your point, I think this is the thing that most people aren't talking about, but I think it is the bigger picture. China, Russia involvement, what they're doing, particularly in that area, Cuba as well. But everybody now in these scenarios is going to have to think twice. China might even think twice about invading Taiwan. I mean, these are massive implications. You have two major operations with what happened in Iran and then what happens here, and how the United States is able to pull both of those off flawlessly. It really tells everyone, and forgive me for you, but we're in the find out era. Don't fool around. In fact, I believe Secretary of War Hegseth said that over the weekend. We're in the find out era.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think people are starting to understand they mean business. And we are not going to allow our backyard to be used against the strategic interests of the United States, nor should we ever.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't allow them to have whole countries that are completely enriching the cartels in Mexico through the drug trade and being the distribution network using the instruments of state to do it. I think it sent a very clear message. And here's what's interesting. I hope other people pay attention to this too. When Chavez got elected in Venezuela, he said he called himself a Democrat socialist, and he said this is a new kind of socialism. And what we found out is it's still the old kind of socialism. It doesn't work. It has a 100% failure rate. They've ruined Venezuela. They ended up taking all that power for themselves and using it to enrich themselves. So when people around the country, the United States, are saying, well, maybe this new Democrat socialism is something new, it's not. It is the same as socialism that killed literally tens of millions of people in the world. Between socialism and communism, killed more people in the world than any other ideology, if you imagine that. And so how we are finding ourselves running to this notion that a bigger government, more invested in your life, is the right decision is beyond me. But I hope people look at what happened in Venezuela in the last 20 years, how it went from the richest country in Latin America to literally the poorest. And was being used as tools for China and Russia and other bad actors to go after the United States. That's what happens. And so there's a whole bunch of lessons, I think, in this Venezuela raid that we should all take a minute and think about.
Hey, they were eating their pets. They were eating zoo animals at one point because they were so hungry there. And you don't have to look much further to me than the Venezuelans who are celebrating here in America today and all over the world because this has happened. Fantastic. Always a pleasure. Former Congressman Mike Rogers running for Senate here in Michigan, rogersforsenate.com. President Trump needs backup in 2026 to continue all of the massive change in the transition, the things that are happening right now to get America back on track. And we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Justin. Now let's keep that border secure. Let's keep our cities safe. Let's keep our putting prices, downward pressure on prices. Let's get people back to work with better paying jobs here in Michigan. And we can do all that with all of your help. So rogersforsenate.com. Love to have you on board. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir. By the way, I noticed gas prices at $2.45. They continue to go down here in Michigan. I'll take it.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, that's the number one driver of costs in food. There's other costs. That's the one. So keep putting pressure on oil prices. We're going to get our food costs down. That'll be the next big moment. We're working on it, as Trump would say.
There you go. Always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. All right, back after this, folks. Don't go anywhere. Quick update from the Midwest to the Midwesterner.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, January 5th. I'm Robin Hoffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Another failure at the hands of Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer involving EVs. LG announcing it is now delaying EV battery production despite $120 million from Michigan taxpayers. South Korea-based LG Energy Solution operates that battery plant near Lansing. Production coming to a screeching halt as EV sales are way down. The Midwesterner out with the list of some of the unspent funds House Republicans have reclaimed after the Democrats' 2023 spending spree, and President Trump discussing the capture of Venezuelan dictator Maduro and his wife, both rounded up and arrested by U.S. forces in Venezuela over the weekend. The president says the administration kept that plan under wraps.
Congress has a tendency to leak. This would not be good.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Daily 3 and 4 players know their numbers, forward and backward.
All right. I think the after show is going to be jam-packed today. I'm going to try to see if he can jump on with us. I don't know. There's a piece of this that we still haven't gotten to yet, which is the election integrity issues. Pat Colbeck has been all over this on X, and you've heard him, Mike Lindell, and so many others talk about it for so long. But particularly what was happening with the election integrity efforts, and you're talking about the machines, the companies who are responsible. You're just hearing Venezuela, and the corruption that's ever all over again, over and over and over. But do you know what's been talked about, what's been happening in Venezuela? Do you understand the connection? Because it's massive. Venezuela events tied to 2020 election. President Chavez expressed that with their project, one day they would place a president in the United States as well. ElectionCrimeBureau.com from our good friend Pat Colbeck. I just reached out to him to see if he can join us. I meant to do that earlier today, but we had a kind of a whirlwind morning with the producer out and everything, so didn't get a chance to get that done the way I wanted to. But maybe we will. Maybe we'll get him jump on with us for the after show. Jam-packed. Maybe I'll try and explain some of what is happening with those issues too. Okay. Always better to have him do it because he's kind of the expert in the field anyway, right? Okay. Maduro gonna be arraigned today around noon, being held in a Brooklyn facility right now. He is going to be making that appearance in that courtroom in New York in just a matter of a couple hours at this point. Hang on, back on the air with you just a moment. Stand by.
Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
All right, we made it through the holidays, and now, of course, Christmas and New Year's. And you've probably been making your resolutions, or it's time to think about it, at least anyway. A few years back, I dropped a lot of weight. I'm telling you, I was walking. That's how you do it. You got to get moving, right? Feeling better. And I was up to like 10,000 steps at one point. And even beyond when I was really moving and grooving. And the people who helped get me there, the Good Feet store. And I continue my push for health and happiness. And maybe you are thinking about trying to get involved too, especially this time of year. The Good Feet store, they'll walk you through everything that they can do for you. They really have made a difference in my life because, look, no matter whether you're working or playing, no matter what you're doing throughout the day, you want to get healthier. Maybe you've made it your resolution. They can help you do it in comfort. That's right. The Good Feet store on 28th Street, right in front of Costco in Portage, on Westnedge in front of Kohl's. Stop in and see for yourself. You can experience the Good Feet feeling at the Good Feet store. All right. I like I said, I was telling folks off the air, there's so much to cover. We've got Maduro coming up noon today looks like he's going to be arraigned in a courthouse there in New York City. He's been held in Brooklyn right now in a facility in Brooklyn. You know, isn't it wild to see this communist dictator brought to justice in the same weekend that Mamdani is being sworn? Did you hear what Mamdani tried to do? By the way, he called Trump. Mamdani got on the phone, called Trump, and said, "I really don't approve of this. Please don't do it." He tried to register his displeasure with President Trump. Same weekend, this socialist gets sworn in by crazy Bernie Sanders on the Quran, no less. Incredible. He's they're out there getting Maduro, and he said, I'm not for that.
As well as other members of my team, I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change, to the violation of federal and international law, and a desire to see that be consistent each and every day.
And what was his response to you in that conversation?
You can imagine.
I registered my opposition. I made it clear, and we left it at that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But this is nutty. Have you seen they've already started to raise the prices of the subway in New York City? You say we wasn't going to do any of that. In fact, it was all going to be free. Saw some great videos over the weekend. These guys were going from place to place in different food places or wherever they were. And they were saying, yeah, I'm here. This should be free. They had people ring them up and they go, no, this is free. Mamdani's in now. So it's all free, right? It's just hilarious. Hilarious. Staten Island now says they're planning on seceding from New York City. It's kind of a conservative area there in New York. Staten Island saying they want to break free of Mom Donnie's reach because of all. The Somali fraud scandal, and particularly with Tim Walz front and center, obviously is really starting to shape. Now, one of the most interesting, the most powerful messages in this whole thing, because we're again hearing it today. They're trying to push it. I've even heard on our news where they're saying, they've taken this money. President Trump's taking this money and saying, well, you can't have it until you prove that you're going to use it the right ways, things like that for childcare. Well, what happens if we don't have childcare? Folks, you already can't afford childcare. You already can't afford it. And what are they doing? Taking billions of dollars and giving it to Somalis who are ripping the government, you and me, off?
This scandal is totally appalling, but it is also unsurprising, and that's because it's a microcosm of what ails the Democratic elites. That's our Why It Matters segment for the night. The latest revelations join others in which suspected Somali fraudsters stole more than $9 billion in federal funds from 14 state-run agencies dating back to 2018. Somali Americans make up 89% of the defendants charged. The absolute scale of the fraud just beggars belief. Where were the spot checks? Where were the officials? It seems totally impossible that the Democratic leadership was not somehow in on this. Just think about how outrageous this is. You are wondering whether you can afford to have another child because childcare is so expensive. Meanwhile, a group of Somalis in Minnesota got $110 million for childcare centers that don't exist.
This is the thing that that was responsible. This right here was responsible for Tim Walz really just having to say, I can't run. I've got to get out of the race. I'm not going to do it. I'm out. Speaking of out, Dan Bongino leaving the FBI. We got that story. Scott Adams, the latest on the cartoonist, The Patriot, and where he stands. We've got good and bad news mixed in there, and some miraculous stories coming out of the weekend as well during our after show. Plus, what really is going on in Venezuela and the story you're hearing about election integrity. Pat Colbeck will join us during the after show coming up in just moments. But this over the weekend, America 2
Nation began not as an idea invented in the minds of men, but as a land discovered. When Christopher Columbus looked west across the endless ocean,
it was gorgeous this weekend.
He sailed for glory, for gain, and for God.
Washington Monument lit up, projecting America 250 and some of the other scenes on it. It was incredible. A really proud moment. We're already off and running. Just days into 2026. What could possibly be coming next, folks? Stick with us. We'll cover it no matter what. And remember, no matter the headlines, no matter what the news says, the good news, God is still on the throne. Make it a great one. God bless,
Our
folks.
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those that trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
An iHeart radio station.
Guaranteed human.
Hi, I'm Laurel Stewart, president of Matson Financial Services.
And I'm Gary Matson, the founder of our West Michigan firm, and most importantly, a proud father.
All right, folks. Pat joining us momentarily for the after show. I think he's actually here. Let me just test him real quick, and then we'll kick this thing off. Hello, sir. How are you?
You get me free shower, so hopefully good enough.
That's good, man. Hey, I'm glad. I'm sorry for the last minute. I wanted to reach out to you late last night. Think, no, it's too late. Then I said, okay, I'll get him in the morning. And then I found out our producer's out today. He's got one of his kiddos is sick. So we're flying by the seat of our pants here.
No worries. been a big news day. Tough for me to keep up. That's why I haven't showered yet. There's
I know.
a lot of stuff coming up.
Well, I thank you for doing this. Hang on. We're going to hit the start button, record here, and we will be ready to go, folks. Stand by. The latest and the real reasons. Well, there are multiple reasons, but something that you're not going to hear talked about a lot right now. Eventually, we'll hear more and more. We're already starting to hear more about what's actually going on in Venezuela. And Pat's been talking about it for a long time.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay.
Welcome into the after show, the show after the show. That's why we call it the after show. Never a dull moment, never enough time to get to it all. We do appreciate you being here with us, folks. Thank you so much. You power this thing. You make it happen each and every day. Without you, there's just no way we could do any of this. And with the new year, lots of new headlines, big stories that are starting to already show some real fruit. We're going to talk about those today. Our good friend, former senator here in the state of Michigan, Pat Kolbeck, join us with the latest in Venezuela and what you're not hearing. But he's been screaming it from the rooftops for years now. Behind the scenes. We'll get to that coming up in just moments. Also have some miracles to report from the weekend. And if you saw what happened in that horrific fire in that Swiss ski bar, there's a story that's shocking coming out of it. Dan Bongino stepping down at the FBI and Scott Adams in his final days, but making a turn that is worth celebrating. We're going to talk about that coming up. First, My Pure Health Solutions. It's the new year. Time to step in. I don't know what kind of resolution you made. Usually resolutions don't work. They don't work for me. You have to make a goal. You have to make a massive change. You have to make a decision that you're done and you want to do something different. And that's what I did, by the way, when I reached out to the folks at My Pure Health Solutions. Missy and the team walking me through the process. I'm down again in this next phase, 30 pounds. My wife she's like 20 some odd. I had to get a full tally from her. She's right on my tail. But we are feeling better than ever. About ready to start up another phase. I've got big goals, but mostly it's just because I want to feel good. I want to be able to do all the things God's called me to do. And you can't do that when you're sort of lagging behind, right? We're all in it together. Making America healthy again starts with each and every one of us individually. And you can get in with me on this new phase when you go to healthwithjustin.com. That's healthwithjustin.com. Go check out all of the great before and after pictures. You can see all of the details of people that have done just amazing work with their program. You eat real food. You know, there's no kind of weird stuff to eat or anything like that. Our good friend Trucker Randy, I mean, he looks amazing. I think he almost lost 100 pounds doing this. Healthwithjustin.com. Do it today. Find out how you can take your life back and make America healthy again, one person at a time. Starting with you. Let's go to my good friend Pat Kolbeck now, who pretty healthy guy himself. Although I would say enough of this news here can then tend to make your blood pressure go up and down and up and down. You've been there like through the thick of it, Pat. I mean, I remember you talking about Venezuela. I mean, this is go back years now, and the things that are happening there. So I think it's so important to show everybody really the different aspects and the different pieces of what's really happening behind the scenes here. And maybe you can clue us in, as at least as it tells elections, massive details there.
Yeah, well, I think it's appropriate. My wife got me for my calendar this year, a Psalm calendar. We get one every single year. And for the month of January, it's wait patiently for the Lord. And we've been waiting patiently. And obviously now the news is starting to come out about what's happening inside of Venezuela regarding our elections. We understand that for years, there's been a conspiracy that frankly dates all the way back to the 2000s, early 2000s, where Hugo Chavez, the original Venezuelan dictator, cozied up to some folks out in Cuba and who wanted to get access to the lucrative oil revenue from Venezuela, and saw a budding partnership where they could actually start promoting ways to keep Hugo Chavez in power so that he could feed the rest of this communist syndicate, criminal syndicate all around the world. And Maduro is just the latest incarnation of that. And what we've seen is evidence of Venezuela going beyond drug trafficking, going beyond human trafficking, and actually branching out into new lines of business, if you will, that include election manipulation, election theft. And we've got a suite of whistleblowers who've come out and publicly testified to that effect under oath, two of which are incarcerated in the U.S. penal system already, General Barrios and General Cordonias. But there's also two others that have submitted sworn affidavits that are in support of Tina Peters' appeal on her conviction. She's a former Mesa County, Colorado clerk that was put in prison by the state of Colorado for 9 years for doing her job. And that's another story. And President Trump's been very aggressive at trying to get her out of prison, but it's a state issue. His hands are a little bit tied there. But bottom line is that everything that Sidney Powell has been talking about since day one, that Mike Lindell was involved in early on, talking to some of the Venezuelan freedom fighters early on, a lot of this stuff is now coming around full circle with this new line of business, election fraud. We've got all these whistleblowers now testifying to how that line of business has been implemented here in the United States to actually manipulate the results of elections in the United States. And so this is a big deal. And the fact that they're getting the word out, and the fact that, now it's coming full circle where we all knew that Trump wasn't putting a supercarrier, and the assault ship, the USS Iwo Jima, and a total of 15 other naval ships in part of an armada to take out little old cigar boats with drugs on them, right? We all knew that there was something bigger there, and this is bigger. And I think it was quite telling that in the wake of Nicolas Maduro's arrest and extradition back to the United States, President Trump this morning put out this post that you've got up on screen right now around a good friend of ours, Jeffrey Lundberg. He's a guy's Los Alamos cyber expert. The guy's extremely bright. And the post deals specifically with what Jeff had discovered regarding election rigging using Dominion systems pertaining to the Mesa County, Colorado forensic images that were obtained through the assistance of Tina Peters, who so Tina's in jail because of this data, and what she actually helped uncover is all the breadcrumbs that lead us back to the theft of our elections with the under the leadership, if you will, this criminal cartel centered around Venezuela. So I believe it's connected.
Can I play some? Let's play some of this so that maybe some folks can actually see what the president posted.
Being awarded to Biden and Jorgensen's totals being awarded to Trump.
After gaining access to a forensic image of the Dominion election management system in Mesa County, Colorado, IT experts demonstrate how easy it is to switch tens of thousands of votes from Trump to Biden in seconds.
President Trump posted this on Truth Social this morning. This is the tie-in to Venezuela.
By simply changing the index number next to each candidate's name.
This is a backdoor utility called SQL Server Management Studio that is actually installed on the image of the voting system.
I remember you talking about this, Pat, like 5 years ago. I mean, this goes back years now.
Yeah, this same software is installed in Detroit. It's installed in Antrim County. It's installed in, this is a backdoor manipulation tool. And by the way, Jeff Lundberg, who is talking about Mesa County, Colorado in this clip, also provided the same information regarding identifying evidence of a vote shift algorithm in Antrim County. And so actually I did a whole Truth Social, or a whole X article on that. So if you follow me on X at PJ Colbeck, go through my articles there, you'll see that. And he highlights why it was important for Jocelyn Benson to keep RFK Jr. on the ballot, because they already had this pre-programmed with that shift on the candidate number. And if they changed that, then it would mess up their algorithm. So it was pretty good analysis I think he did on it. And I tried to bring that out to folks too. But I think the dam's about to burst on all the connections here between Venezuela and our stolen elections. And I'm personally hopeful that Maduro turns state's evidence on this and starts highlighting the role of some of his domestic assistants in that process.
You know, you make a good point. People have wondered about this whole scenario. First of all, they indicted him. He was indicted long time ago. Biden put a $25 million bounty on his head. You know, this whole question about why'd they go get him? Why'd they go do this? And the fact that they got him. I mean, they must have really wanted him because they could have taken him out, just taken him out. So there's a reason for this. A lot of times when you see these federal guys do anyway with the federal investigations, they'll do plea deals. So they didn't just get Maduro, they also got his wife.
Yeah.
So,
which is unusual, by the way.
It makes me wonder, is this part of the plea deal? Is that, we're going to let you off a little lighter and your wife as well. But you got to start singing.
Yeah. And keep in mind, in the Southern District of Florida, Roger Pignatti, who's a senior official for Smartmatic USA, which is tied to Venezuela, was indicted recently. And then Smartmatic itself was indicted recently in bribery charges. So there is an extremely strong Venezuelan connection. And Nicolas Maduro is at the center of all this, as well as his late buddy, Hugo Chavez. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, this is literally a 3D, 4D chess game. That's why Trump is talking about oil. He's talking about before he was talking about the cigar boats and the narco terrorism. But I'm telling you, I believe that this has got to do with our elections, and in particular the 2020 election. Because keep in mind, one of the testimonies that we have from these whistleblowers is that the Iranian prime minister was invited to Caracas to witness the 2020 election results in the United States.
Wow. That is incredible. First of all these things, look, the narco terrorism, the China-Russia influence here in our hemisphere, all these things are big. They all matter, right? And the fact that he was such an evil dictator on top of it, that all is a big piece of it. But at the end of the day, this elections piece, you add this in, it's any one of these alone would be enough for us to be concerned. But will we, I guess that's the question. How soon will we learn? He's going to be in court today. Obviously these things kind of take time, but this whole process has been playing out for a while now. It seems like we've been watching a bit of a well choreographed, and I'm not talking about, hey, get the popcorn and just, follow along, but we've been watching something that was well planned, well choreographed, in the works for a while now.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things happening in the background as well in other countries like Iran that are tied to this. And you notice the freedom fighters are finally taking back their country out in Iran as well.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the whistleblowers, Iran is extremely tightly tied to what was going on with our elections here. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I think a lot of things are lining up. And here's what we really need to see is that we're coming up on the 2026 elections. The midterm elections are scheduled for this November, and there's primaries happening even more than that. From a timeline perspective, we've got to start seeing some serious revelations, I think, coming out of the Trump administration and coming out of the Department of Justice by end of February, early March, so that we can get these machines out of the mix for this upcoming election. There's more than enough evidence to get us all to return back to hand counting. And I think for those who are prudent right now, if you're an election official listening to this, I just would throw the dust off of those hand counting manuals you used to use back in the 1950s and 1960s, because I think we're going to need to use them again. Once you understand the role that these machines have played in subverting the integrity of our elections, it's going to blow your mind. By the way, you can find out what these ways are. Go to electioncrimebureau.com/evidence. One of the whistleblowers outlines 14 different mechanisms on how to use the machines to manipulate the results of the elections. And these mechanisms are evident in not just in Smartmatic, not just in Sequoia, but also in Dominion voting systems. And oh, by the way, these same features are licensed by ESNS and Hart InterCivic. So, guys, there's no safe machine out there. And just encourage you to go do your own research. I provide all those links out at the electioncrimebureau.com. Share it with your friends and family, because we got to get prepared for this upcoming election. It's a big one.
Well, Pat Colbeck, I know folks are going to want to follow. They're going to want to keep up with everything that you're putting out there, because there's lots of it happening very quickly. What's the best way for them to do that with you?
Well, follow me on social media. Obviously, go to X account at PJ Colbeck, but also I help curate electioncrimebureau.com for Mike Lindell. So Mike's made that possible, and nobody's been targeted more than Mike has on the topic of election fraud for speaking the truth. But, he was right all along, and a lot of us meddling kids are finally getting the word out there, thanks to President Trump and his administration. So just keep the pedal to the metal, and let's see what 2026 has in store for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, and prayers for, even more of this in the new year and beyond. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Praise God. Not going to lie, my friend.
You got it. You too. PJ Colbeck over on X. That's Patrick Colbeck, former Michigan State Senator and heavily involved in the election integrity projects there with Mike Lindell and the folks. By the way, you want to support Mike? The new site running for governor is up right now. You can also go to MyPillow. You can make donations there, but also MyPillow or mystore.com/Justin. MyPillow or mystore.com/Justin. Make your purchases. I mean, this is a great time, right? First of the year, thinking about, well, I need to get some new sheets, or I want a resolution. Maybe it's time to get the mattress, whatever it is. Their New Year's sale is underway right now. They got great stuff. Those pillows that we got for the kids, my gosh, they love them. They sleep on them every night. And, we got them for their cousins. And I'm thinking about buying some more for kids that I know that, they're $30. It's like 5 pillows, $6 a pillow for these incredible Bible story pillows that they've got. In fact, here they are, a 5-pack. If you're a parent or a grandparent, buy them now, save them, maybe a gift for Easter, but you want to get them now, because I don't know how long they're going to be on sale. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with these, but it's just $29.98 when you use a promo code Justin. So stop in and check them out today. MyPillow.com, mystore.com/Justin, and support the folks that they've put it all on the line. All right, you want to see a little bit more of this documentary that President Trump did post on Truth Social this morning?
So is it certified?
It is not on the list of certified software. What I'm going to do first, I'm just going to pull up the presidential results in Mesa County for that election. And here they are. You can see Biden has 31,000, Trump has 56,000. Okay, so I'm going to come up here now, and I'm going to make a quick change. Change that.
You change that to a 2.
Yep. I'm changing Trump to a 1.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to rerun the report. And there you go. Biden, 56,000, Trump, 31,000. So I just flipped the results of the election using a tool that's actually built in to the voting system. And what I did is not even logged. There's no trace of what I just did now. For some reason, the logging of activities by a user that has the password are not retained.
In Pennsylvania on live TV, Trump had 1,690,589 votes, while Biden had 1,252,537 votes. The time was approximately 11:08 Eastern Standard Time. The next interval report shows Trump's votes decreasing to 1,670,631, and Biden's votes increasing to 1,272,495. The time is approximately 11:09 p.m. Live on CNN, exactly 19,958 votes were switched from Trump to Biden. This means Trump lost 39,916 votes.
I want to say I've seen this stuff before. I don't know if I've seen that particular that particular documentary before? Again, that's what President Trump posted on Truth Social this morning. Really interesting timing. I can just tell you, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I see when we pay attention to some of this stuff, and some of it you probably have. If you've been with us any number of time, you already know. You already know what some of this is behind the scenes. What it's been. It's really fascinating to see it, watching it all kind of come out right now, isn't it? I mean, I almost can't believe we're here. I almost can't believe we're here. It's just, I don't know that I never thought I'd see this day come, but I guess the question is, and I'm not too overly first. Look, I'm going to give you the grain of salt here, right? The whole trust but verify. I'm going to give you the whole I believe it when I see it. That all of that I that too. But at the same time, it is pretty incredible. It is pretty incredible to say we are at a moment in time where this is actually happening. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz posting on X this morning, Minnesota has to come first always. Today, I'm proud of the work we've done and make Minnesota the best place to live and raise kids. Even when you don't have those kids in your daycare, it's really the best place for it. He's dropping out of that race. That bid for re-election would be, I think, his third term, and maybe the first time they've ever done. I think maybe. I'm not big on Minnesota politics, so I can't say for sure. But that's another big story we're following today. And then Vice President J.D. Vance's home in Ohio vandalized this morning. They got the guy. It looks like somebody threw some rocks or something through the window. It looks like. Details on that story still kind of sketchy, but again, I believe someone has been arrested for that. So Trump on Air Force One talking about all of this, Venezuela particularly, and the Don Roe doctrine. Well, you've heard the Monroe doctrine. This would be the Don Roe doctrine. It's back pushing China, Russia, and Iran out of the Western Hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine, very important, he says. Other presidents lost sight of it. He wants to bring that back, and apparently you're seeing that play out right now.
It's about peace on earth.
How is it peace on earth?
Peace on earth. We got to have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents, a lot of them, they lost sight of it. I didn't lose sight. But it really is. It's peace on earth. Thank you very much.
Interesting take. Well, I mean, what you're talking about is essentially saying, look, that we're going to secure our neck of the woods, our area. This is America first. I've seen some criticism. I've seen like MTG come out, and some of the stuff she said lately, there's a lot of this I'm just not going to talk about. I'm just not going to cover. I don't know what's going on with her, but I can't tell you. It's sad to watch some of it. The criticism, you can disagree with people on certain things, but some of it's just gone, I think, bridge too far. This is America first. Why? Because you're protecting and you're defending America from those serious threats, particularly the fentanyl. And the drugs, those are the immediate. Then China and Russia involvement, and maybe putting missile sites in Venezuela. We don't want that. We don't need that. This is another way that you can ensure that those things aren't going to happen.
That Cuba is ready to fall. Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio has really...
Interesting. Again, the interview, by the way, did you see this? This is making the rounds this weekend, too. It's Maduro. I think Scavino posted this. Maduro calling out Trump, saying, come get me.
Por mí. Aquí lo espero en Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
I just got 3 things to say.
He says, come for me, you coward.
And then flash forward to the bald eagle.
God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
The neocons are really upset today, too. And there's a lot of never Trumpers that are coming out. Some people that said they were Trumpers, you're starting to see, it's kind of like an MTG sort of, I don't want to pull Tucker in just yet, but there's a Candacello, there's a weird thing that's happening. I'm not pulling, you just decide who these people are. Because they're getting really loud and vocal, and it's everything that Trump does now that they've got criticism for. I'm not just talking about the loony left. There's some other loony folks who have been broken. Their brains are just broken right now because of all of this. Got to keep an eye on that. And if that's you, I just caution you, take a step back. Take a step back. And just ask yourself how you got here. Now, don't point your finger at Trump and say it's all his fault. Chances are this has something to do with you and why you hate him. Now, why? Why is that? I really want you to think about it. It is interesting, and then I get this seems to be folks are being. I think there's a psyop going on. I think people are they're being targeted. They want to try and pull as many people as they can away. Some of this stuff is Epstein related. Some of it's Israel related. It's just a lot of stuff that that's being used right now to try and build a wedge. Why? Because they don't want you to see what is happening right now. They don't want you to see that we could literally go into some place and do something in 4 hours that it took administration's 4 terms couldn't get done. These people have wanted for years to drag us through these wars that they just never end. That's not what Trump's doing. That's why he's America first. So to tell me that he's not, it doesn't add up. People are missing this.
Than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United
Marco
States.
Rubio.
He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those 3 recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
we should make sure.
Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it.
Yeah, we should make sure.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil.
We didn't talk about that earlier today, and I completely missed that opportunity. But China was there the day of. They were there having talks with him the day of.
Companies is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player.
Yeah.
When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States.
fool around and you find out. So 9 months ago, what was it? Ukrainian flags on the left, then Palestinian flags, and Mexican flags, and Iranian flags, then Venezuelan flags. Well, Somalian flags. Don't forget the Somalians. I think we completely skipped over the Somalian flag. These are the weirdos on the left in New York City. Now, I've got to show you, because this is important. You need to hear people from Venezuela. You need to hear the Venezuelan voices on this. Not just white. By the way, you ever notice the white liberals, especially the older white liberal woman faction, they won't tell you how everything. This is the Karen. Now, if your name's Karen, I apologize. But this is the Karenification of politics. They want to tell you about how everything works. Why not go straight to the source? Here's a journalist from Venezuela that tells you why all of this matters.
Now a message to my English-speaking friends, because I'm already seeing people are organizing protests.
Her name is Germania Rodriguez Polio.
Of Venezuela, let's defend Maduro. We love dictators. Do not, for a moment, let your hatred and disdain for Donald Trump, an unsavory character, have you defending the dictator of my country that was destroyed by him and Chavez and their system 20 years ago. We Venezuelans are very, very happy that our dictator has been arrested, removed, and will be put through a trial.
I can't get over the fact, I'm just telling you, people were eating their dogs. They're eating the dogs, they were eating their pets because they were starving in Venezuela. Things were so bad under Chavez. They were eating zoo animals. You don't believe me? Hang on. Let's just see if we can find. Okay, this is AI, by the way, and it's Google, so take that with a grain of salt. Pun intended. We've actually got some of these popping up too. Look, during Venezuela's severe economic crisis and chronic food shortages, particularly around 2016 or 2017, there were multiple reports of animals being stolen from zoos, with presumption they were taken to be eaten by starving people. This is Google. You would think Google would try and hide this. By the way, I've been switching. I've got to figure out how to get it on this browser here, but I've been switching on my phone to FreeSpoke. I don't know if you've used FreeSpoke yet. It's not just a search tool, but it certainly is a browser search, but it's also giving you, and I really enjoy this, lots of access to news that you're not going to get. But I'm getting updates on my phone. In fact, I got the Tim Walz update 12 minutes ago. I got unrest grows in Iran. Reports suggest Khamenei may flee to a foreign ally. That's a huge story. Is Google going to give you that story? Getting it right here on my phone right now from FreeSpoke. If you haven't done it yet, they are a new partner. Go to justinbarclay.com, justinbarclay.com/freespoke, and try it out. Download the app, try it out, and see what you think. I love it. You can also, like if you're using an Apple phone, you just use it as your actual search in your browser in the Safari or whatever. It'll allow you to do that inside your browser. So it'll become your official search. But I love it. And in fact, let me show you. Let me show you what the app itself looks like. I may be able to pull it up here. Let me see. I haven't tried on the computer yet. Yeah, it's available on the computer too. That's got to become my brand new official show search then. Look at that. Could search here too. Anonymously search the web. They don't sell your data to all the other, big tech folks. You can ditch big tech and get back to basics
And again, stuff that really works. There you go. Look at that. Venezuelan eating zoo animals. Let's get to the news. Yeah, brings it up. Here's a Fox Business. 9 years ago, crisis hits Venezuela's main zoo where 50 animals have died. Malnutrition, that's not it. But food shortages are so bad in Venezuela. This is 2017. People are eating stolen zoo animals. I remember the story and their pets. I remember the full story. I used to kind of joke about it. This is a real serious scenario. That's how bad things were at the time. And it's one of those stories that they're not going to tell you the truth about in the media, because that shows you how bad things were under Chavez and Maduro and how bad socialism is altogether in general. Anyway, if you haven't done it yet, please go download the app, justinbarclay.com/free, FREE, spoke, SPOKE. justinbarclay.com/free spoke. I just put it in the chat for folks that are watching online too. All right, so now you have it. Good luck. And again, you can ditch big tech and finally feel good about it. Another great way to do it. We got lots of big things coming in this year ahead, and I cannot wait to fill you in on them all. But first, let me show you a few more. Now, we're talking real Venezuelans, folks, because I want you to see as many as I could get to here before I'm going to run out of time. I got some stuff I got to get running to do later, but don't forget, I put all of this stuff up every day in the stack. JustinBarclay.com. This is heartbreaking. A woman breaking down, talking about what it means that Venezuela has been liberated. This is out of the, I think it's this is the Miami area, I believe, is where this video was taken. And it looks like some sort of Spanish cable television network. I'm not sure. Notice something I'm not sure exactly.
Muy emocionada llorando. ¿Cómo se siente? Cuéntanos por qué llora. Felicidad, tantos años esperar esto, señor.
She said, happy news. So many years waiting for this.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you. My God, this is such immense joy.
Gracias, señor. Gracias, presidente.
Said, thank you, sir. Thank you, President of the United States. They will never show this on CNN. You will never see this. They hurt my brothers and killed me. It's been horrible.
¿Cuántos años tiene usted aquí en los Estados Unidos? ¿Hace cuánto se fue de Venezuela?
She's asking, when did you leave Venezuela? We've been here 8 years now. 8 years, she says. Kidnapped my brothers. That was hard.
Muchas gracias. ¿Su nombre? Yajaira. ¿De qué parte de Venezuela es?
De Maracaibo.
De Maracaibo. ¿Y qué le dice a las personas que están viendo en este momento toda esta emoción de los venezolanos, a los venezolanos que han sido el centro de atención de las noticias, tanto por lo que ocurre en Venezuela como por el éxodo de los venezolanos, los migrantes venezolanos?
Fuerza, que sí se puede, que tuviera...
Wow, that is incredible. And again, this is not something that you're going to see on the nightly news. This is not something that the CNN, Anderson Cooper is going to show you. This is not something that they want you to see. The Democrats don't want you to see it. It's story after story. Here's another woman they interviewed at a gas station. I think same sort of area. This is, whoops, where did it go? Did we lose it? Doral, Florida. So that's actually near Trump's golf course.
one of its golf courses down there. Near Miami. I think this is going to be in Spanish again too. But watch. She hasn't stopped crying since she arrived. She's in her pajamas. Said they're at a gas station celebrating. Just here. Tell me a little bit about your reaction. Tell me a little bit how you feel right now. This is beyond comparison. Thank you, my God. Thank you, God. I knelt down and cried in my house, she says. It's a miracle. Thank you very much. You know, folks, we may be watching the hand of God as we speak right now. It's not only Venezuela. They say Cuba is on the brink. Cuba is on the brink. They may be liberated as well. Iran, if they all fall together because of the actions of this president, you can just imagine what has happened. Jessica joking, we need to do Canada next. Oh, the 51st state? No, I don't know about that. We'll have to wait a little bit. Don't let them fool you. Food shortage is so bad in Venezuela that people are eating stolen zoo animals. This is why you see the reaction and the response of the actual Venezuelans, the people there, the story that the media will never tell you. This is it. Here's another great one. In fact, this one's like 5 minutes long. I'm not going to be able to play all of it. I'll play just part of it. Again, all of this, piece by piece, we've got it documented up for you on the stack today, so go to justinbarclay.com and check it out.
Okay. As a Venezuelan American, I got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco-dictatorship that has held Venezuela in a death grip for over 25 years. And what happened to my family has happened to millions, and yes, millions. The Venezuelan exodus is the second largest displacement crisis on earth after Syria. This is not just a tragedy. It is one of the great humanitarian disasters of our time. But the suffering doesn't end there. This regime has jailed hundreds of political prisoners.
No, he's talking about Trump. He's talking about Maduro, Democrats.
Thousands have been murdered simply for speaking out. More than a third of the population has fled. 1/3. Not for better opportunities or for the American dream, but to survive. To live. Because staying often means death.
Fantastic video. Again, like I said, it's 5 minutes long. I'll post it up on the stack so you can get it today and watch it as well. Some more miraculous and big news from the weekend. I'm going to get to in just a moment. First, Dan Bongino is out. He officially has left the FBI and will return to civilian life. I know this was a tough job on Dan. I know he announced that he was going to be leaving. The turn of the new year was I guess the timeline, the deadline for that, and it is come and gone, and he has stepped away. We thank Dan for his service. There's a number of folks out there sort of conjecturing on why it is that he has left. I don't know, other than to tell you, I know that was a grueling job, and it was hard for him to be away from his wife and his family, and he is glad, I'm sure, to be back home, and we thank him for the service in the meantime that he put in during that time. Here's breaking news that happened while we were gone. Remember disgraced Milwaukee judge Hannah Dugan? She was found guilty in federal court of shielding illegals from ICE. Remember they came into the courtroom and she was the one that helped him get out? Well, now she's a convicted felon. She's facing up to 5 years in prison. And she has officially resigned from her post and as a judge.
He meets his attorney in the hallway and walks towards Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Along the way, he passes plainclothes federal agents who are sitting on a bench. They are there to detain him. After Flores Ruiz walks by, the agents turn to each other and appear to confirm his identity among.
So there you have it. That's some more good news. I'm here for the find out era. I really am. I really am. Scott Adams, famed cartoonist, patriot. So to watch what's happening to him with his fight in prostate cancer. They told him the other day, it looks like this is it. There is no recovery. That's what the doctors say. Now, he believes that report. But he's also said in the final days that he is really, and I'm asking you to pray for him, not just for his health, obviously, and a recovery, but I'd ask that you would pray for him as he considers a conversion, he says, to Christianity.
Whenever I talk about the simulation, and especially when I talk about my own impending death, many of my Christian friends and Christian followers say to me, Scott, you still have time. You should convert to Christianity. And I usually just let that sit because that's not an argument I want to have. I've not been a believer. And but I also have respect for any Christian who goes out of their way to try to convert me. Because how would I believe you believe your own religion if you're not trying to convert me? So I have great respect for people who care enough that they want me to convert and then go out of their way to try to convince me. So you're going to hear for the first time today that it is my plan to convert. So I still have time, but my understanding is you're never too late. And on top of that, any skepticism I have about reality would certainly be instantly answered if I wake up in heaven. I do believe that the dominant Christian theory is that I would wake up in heaven if I have a good life. Yeah, I don't necessarily have to, just state something in advance. And so, to my Christian friends, yes, it's coming. So you don't need to talk me into it. I am now convinced that the risk-reward is completely smart. If it turns out that there's nothing there, I've lost nothing. But I've respected your wishes, and I like doing that. If it turns out there is something there, and the Christian model is the closest to it, I win. So with your permission, I promise you that I will convert.
Somebody get to Scott and tell him that he doesn't really have to do anything but to pray and to ask for forgiveness and allow Jesus to work in his heart. Yeah, listen, there doesn't need to be a whole process. He doesn't have to go anywhere or do anything. In fact, he may already be there by this point. We don't know, but we continue to pray for him. We'll continue to pray for a recovery, even though that seems not likely right now. There's nothing too big for God. And in the meantime, we'll also pray that he's comforted during this time and for his peace, and that folks who are watching this will see the miracle taking place and be inspired by it as well. Speaking of miracles, I'll leave you with this today. It's a story that I had to go back and really do some digging on to make sure that what I was seeing was real. Now, even at that point, could be fooled. You just never know. But all intents and purposes, this looks legit. I speak a little French, so I can tell you I understand part of what this woman is saying. But a woman who was in the Swiss ski bar where that fire broke out there on New Year's Eve, she witnessed a miracle. She tells reporters how the flames inside the bar completely avoided her friend, who sat down there in front of her with a cross in his hand when he became trapped. The flames inside the bar didn't touch him. He miraculously escaped.
J'ai un ami à moi, c'est tout pareil. Il n'arrivait pas à sortir. Et il s'est juste assis et il a tenu sa croix dans sa main. Et juste le feu l'a esquivé.
Read some of this. She says, I have a friend who sat down in the bar with a cross in his hands and the flames didn't touch him. The fire was all around him, but not on him. He survived, thankfully. He was able to leave and broke a window to escape.
She said, but if that's why I'm here tonight, I just want to thank the Lord for saving me. Pray to have him save my friends who are missing, she said. Talking about how she doesn't want to lose any more friends. She's already lost so many people, she says. Still looking for them, she says. What an incredible story. If this all plays out to be true, God willing, we will follow up on it. But another miracle. Wow. In a time when we could, I think we could use another daily dose, right? To remind us. Incredible. So much good happening in the world. There are so many good things still going on, and yet this looks like it's ramping up to be a fantastic year, folks, and so much more. If you haven't done it already, VIPs in the Freedom Fam over on Locals. You want to join us? We do a bit of an after show. It's called the After Party. First one for the new year. It was great to be back with you again. What a fantastic moment we had, I think, for just an incredible time to spend with family for Christmas and New Year's. Spend with the girls. And I'll talk a little bit more of that in the VIP. But thank you so much. And thanks to the folks in the Barclay family. You know who you are. Sally and the rest of you was such a great gift. I remain thoroughly blown away, and the kids and Lizzie do too by your gift. Thank you so much. God bless. But do it today. Make sure you get the good news. Sign up at justinbarclay.com. Get the stack, get updates on what's happening.